Considering that Xenoblade Chronicles is my favorite video game series of all time, despite only having 3, arguably 4 entries in the series, there was no question for me if I was going to see this direct or not. I needed to get more information about this game that's only about 5 weeks away now, which is insane to think about. But what I'm going to do here today is break down the little bits of information we have about the story now, and then talk about the gameplay elements that really differentiate 3 from the other entries in the series. So let's go ahead and start off with the story, just because there's really only 3 bits of knowledge to cover here. Again, spoilers, I'm gonna spoil 1 and 2, I'm assuming you know that going into this. If not, honestly, just skip the first 4 minutes, there's only like one other spoilery thing, and it's kind of cool to know, but I'm not gonna mention it here in case you haven't. So yeah, I'm gonna just get into it now. So, we have the direct trailer, as they're calling it now, and it gave us 3 key pieces of information. The first is, who is the primary antagonist of this game now? Because we didn't really have that before. I mean, in 1, we kind of had Mechonis serve as the initial antagonist. 2, we knew about Torno, we knew they'd be our primary antagonist. And now in 3, we finally have the primary antagonist. Maybe there's another one, I doubt it, but it is the Console, which is this political group that is operating out of what we now have confirmation as Sword March, better known as Uriah, or presumably Fonza Mima, as we see at the end of the direct trailer. They're in this theater just watching this thing, and it's safe to assume that this is the same theater where they held the play back in Xenoblade 2, where you see them retelling the story of Adam. It's of course way different now. It's not some dinky little theater that can barely fit 50 people. It's this grand opera thing, so it shows that Fonza Mima did have development and has become powerful, which would make sense considering this evil console is operating it. Now, that said, I do like the idea now. I think this Vandom character is someone who probably saw the play of Vandom that Cole made following Rex's wish at the end of 2, and now it's been passed down to generations, kind of like how the Adam play was shown in Xenoblade 2, so that's where we're going to get our Vandom character from. He'll probably go by the name Vandom 2 as well. I wouldn't be shocked if he just took the moniker. But the second bit of information we have is, I guess, that Sword March. We know that the Mechonis sword cut into Uriah. So this confirms that this capital is operating, or the console is operating within this capital, which we don't know what their end goal is yet, but the main thing that we do have now is that we have kind of a number. So we see 6 members of this console. Is this all of them? We don't know, but we know that Wild Ride has a name. Not really though, as I'll just let the clip play here.
You were all talk when you left here, but you've nothing to show for it, D.
Oh, spare me, P.
So yeah, Wild Ride is just D. I'm still just gonna call him Wild Ride, just capitalize the D now, that's what we're doing, folks. And we know that this group has the ability to dematerialize themselves into purple miasma and assumedly rematerialize at will. And then we see their, what I can only guess is their leader, not Klaus, who, I don't know if this is just the Niji Sanji brain rot taking over, but he has these like purple wing things on his head that just kind of look like Enna Alouette. It's the same fucking thing. I don't know why the hell they're doing that. Who knows? Maybe they like Niji Sanji over at Monolith, but it's this weird thing. It kind of has like the Grima Fire Emblem eyes and these like weird purple gashes in his cheeks, so we don't know what this character's deal is. Again, I'm calling him not Klaus, but we know nothing. And then the other bit of information we get is what the brands mean. We now have confirmation that the brands mark basically how much time you got left. They're, I guess, their own flame clocks in a way. It seems like the flame clocks are primarily tied to these face units, which we now have a name as Ferranus. I don't know if I'm saying that exactly right, but it's these markers here we see in this little cutscene that plays out. Play the clip.
That mark there. Late 10th term, eh? 3 months left. That about right?
3 more months. And then I'll be gone from this world.
Yeah, I'd had the same reaction too, Noah, if I knew my waifu was gonna die in 3 months. But yeah, these marks represent how much life you have, and I didn't quite understand this when they explained it. They explained it really poorly. Hopefully that's not a sign of the tutorials in this game like it was in 2, but it seems like you spend 10 years in the baby incubator, and then once you pop out of that, you get branded, are forced to fight, and then you get 10 years. And that's really it. This is not even like to do anything, because we learned that at the end of these 10 years, Melia, and probably Nia too, will just send you off with a hero's farewell into the ether, so you die at 20 no matter what. I'm older than 20. I'm just like, damn, that'd be an actual awful life. So I can only imagine how much it sucks for these people, these poor soldiers being forced to do it. But there's some theories there I'm not gonna get into. You can leave it in the comments. It's totally going Tales of Abyss or Nier on this bitch. If you know what that means, you know what it means. If you don't know what it means, don't worry about it. But yeah, it's just, damn, this world is even more messed up than we thought. Especially with the flame clocks, we don't know what the hell Pyro was thinking when she made these up. Maybe she didn't make it up. Maybe they're harvesting her corpse and using it as a vessel to power the flame clocks for whatever stupid reason. I don't really know. But I think that covers everything aside from the fact that, oh yeah, the console has the ability to autonomously become an Ouroboros. We see D dematerialize from Ouroboros form into regular form, and that's just the power the console has for whatever reason. Why? Don't know yet. Maybe they've superpowered their flame clocks and that's an ability you get once you do that. I mean, we see what I'm going to call the equivalent of Zord here, just kind of like consuming the bodies here the same way Zord did in 1, and he's just like, yeah, I don't really care, that's just a feast for me. And then we still know nothing about this really weird sword that Noah has. We know nothing about the mecha arm. That hasn't been explained at all, but that apparently lets him destroy flame clocks on Ouroboros, so it's powerful. How they get it, who knows? Kind of looks like a third Monado type deal, but we'll see when we actually play the game. Oh, and finally, Evil Noah. Yeah, I don't know what that's about. That's just clearly Noah, but evil. Make of that what you will. Again, Tales of Abyss, Nier, you know where I'm going with this. Alright, now that we're done with that, let's talk about the gameplay stuff. The good shit here, folks. I'm gonna try and keep this shorter than direct, but no promises. So, I already mentioned that the Pharaonis is the thing, but these things exist within colonies. So, how we had Colony 9, Colony 6, that was it. But it looks like colonies will be the way that you explore each of these lands. Maybe Agnes also has colonies as well. Maybe they adopted that from Keves. Who knows? But it's going to be interesting seeing how, if you can build this up, because we have confirmation that the affinity chart is back, which is huge. Hopefully it's not as tedious to build as it was in 1. I'm not going to sit here and act like it wasn't kind of a pain in the ass to have to get the guides out, but the affinity chart can hopefully lead to development of the colonies, which will reward you with better gear, better quests, and maybe let you do more, I don't know, get more items. I don't really have a better way to describe it, but it looks like it's a good way to track progress. I kind of missed it in 2, and it's a good way to see just how expansive this world is. And other stuff that was taken from previous games, we have, not really from 2, but from Torna, rest spots are back. So campsites are back, and now called rest spots. It sadly seems like these bits of dialogue won't be voiced as they weren't voiced in Torna. That'd be really unfortunate if they were, but they just have the text boxes there. Same thing for quests sometimes. But at least cooking is back, so there was kind of recipe crafting you could do in Torna. It looks like they just consolidated it to Riku and Minana's cooking, but I do remember seeing the screenshots on Twitter where you see all the party cooking, so it looks like any party member can cook and give you additional buffs, which is really cool. It'll give you something to do with all your collectibles since we know that item orbs are back. Now, one quality of life feature they've added is quest routes. Quest routes, whatever you want to call them, depending on the accent. This basically just makes doing side quests easier because you can just say, I want to do this quest. Map is like, gotcha fam, you won't get lost. I'll give you the proper path to get to it, which compared to how many times in 2 you can just get easily lost because of how bad the map was, that's one thing I will say as a downgrade. 1 had a good map, 2's map was just bad with the multi-layered stuff they were trying to go for. So I'm really happy that they just said, okay, listen, you can't get lost, we'll make it easy for you. Here's a line, follow it, get to your quest. Beautiful quality of life feature there. Speaking of quality of life features, can we talk about one of the greatest additions made to combat? Character swapping at Will. This is huge. This is something we've always wanted. But the fact that you can swap between all 6 of your party members, I don't know if the heroes are playable. It doesn't look like it, sadly, but I'm gonna hope I'm wrong when this game comes out. But if you can swap between all of your party members at will, the fact that you can do that, rather, we know you can happen. If you can do all 7, it'd be awesome. But the fact that you get 6, amazing. The only downside to this is that when we see Noah swap over to Uni, her arts are on cooldown, so if the AI is stupid, then yeah, you don't get much use out of it, but it could be fun to just say, alright, spam Noah arts, swap to character, spam arts, swap again, spam arts. We don't know if there's a cooldown tied to the character control, but if there isn't, or if there's an ability you get later on that minimizes that cooldown, hot damn, you can do a lot with just all the setup you can get in, and then just go into your last character and just go for the massive crits during the chain attack. Speaking of chain attacks, we didn't really get much information on that. The TP system is not explained at all. It just looks like get more TP, more damage done is the best we can really get from that, but now we know that the Ouroboros can also partake in the chain attacks, which is crazy to think about, especially since, kind of spoilery, we now know that the Agnes party members have their own, how do I say, I guess Ouroboros, so they have their, I guess, kind of B-side to the Ouroboros, because we only saw the Keves characters have their forms, but now we know that since the Ouroboros is just basically controlled by one party member, the Keves characters can take over, and they have their own forms, and they also look incredibly powerful. It's cool how these designs look. Tyon's honestly just looks insanely just sick to me. It almost looks like a light version of Arsene, because make all the Joker memes, but listen, with Gray allowing for class changes, so many people are going to give Tyon that gunslinger class just because they can now give their Xenoblade Joker a gun. That leads me into the class changes now. There's a lot of them, and the classes look sick. Everyone's new waifu, Alexandria, I think that's her name, is going to be the broken one because she focuses on crits and deals higher damage with criticals, so I don't know if it's going to be optimal to literally just say everyone turn into this class and just get the arts from that to make your other skills broken, but we'll see. Time will tell, but definitely going to be someone you want to give, definitely a class you want to give your attacking units to. So, I mean, here's the thing too, maybe this is like a Bravely Default scenario. I kind of got Bravely Default vibes when looking at the class changes, because it's like, oh, you can get Master Arts, you can kind of take skills when you power them up enough in Bravely Default to your other class and just have that skill baked in, but we don't know how long it'll take to get these Master Arts. If it's quick, that might just be a simple 2-hour grinding session, get everyone get the Master Art from, I think it said Inquisitor? I'm not 100% sure though, but whatever Alexandria's class is, and yeah, just run wild with that. That's the crit machine. That's always the play, and maybe it'll give you good fusion arts, the other mechanic we want to talk about here. Nothing really to go over. I mean, take an art, if it works with this art, it can become a fusion art. If not, you can't use it, but this just looks like it's more free damage you can get off. What the conditions are that need to be met for it, they didn't really explain, but maybe it's just active whenever, or maybe you have to sacrifice some party gauge for it. Who knows? But fusion arts, it's just cool. It's more damage. We've always thought about additional ways you can have arts chained together. Similar to how we have the confirmation that Smash, Topple, Launch, and Smash. Wait, is that right? No, that's not right, Omni. Break, Topple, Launch, Smash. There we go. Now we're good. And we now know that there's a second route. They didn't highlight it, but if you looked in the footage, there's Break Topple, that's the staple, Daze from Xenoblade 1, and now Burst is an additional option. So we saw Uni with the dual fans do that, so maybe that'll be the utility provided by that class, but there are multiple paths you can take to deal damage. You don't just have to go for Launch Smash, you can go for Daze Burst now. And who's to say there aren't additional options? It's probably just going to be those two, but maybe they add a third one unique to this game. Or maybe there'll be some super broken third option you get with just Ouroboros. Who knows? And then I think that covers everything in terms of gameplay. Yeah, I think that's it. I just want to talk about how Gray is awesome and how his class, it mentions Full Metal Jaguar. That's just an Elma reference, so kind of brings me to my X theory crafting, of which I have 2 theories relating to X now. 1, X is going to be a part of this world as well, because No, there's no way to explain this without spoiling X. So at the end of X, by the way, this is I'm just going to talk about X stuff for the end of this, so if you don't care about that, you feel free to click off this video. Thank you so much for watching this point, but I'm just going to go into this now. At the end of X, if you remember, I remember like nothing. The details are super foggy to me, because I just don't remember. It was really just dumped at you at the end. Basically, the way it worked was that there were some humans, and then they found a way to recreate them, this is gonna sound so weird, through this, like, god goo. There is no way to make this sound right, but this is literally how it works. They could, if you remember in X, all the characters were mimeosomes, which basically meant they were like android vessels waiting to get their real bodies. But their real bodies all died, they couldn't survive, so they kept the genetic code for those bodies and kept this god goo to eventually recreate them and populate Mira. They don't do that at the end because evil guys wanted to take that power, but what if that's how they create these vessels, and the fact that everyone dies at 20 is just a way to get more energy to fuel the god goo? It's an idea. Some of the theories I saw kind of lean to that. I kind of get it. There's also the fact that we just see a bunch of spaceships flying into the console at one point, it looks like. Where did the spaceships come from? I don't know. Maybe the Machina shared their technology and allowed them to be developed, but I get heavy X vibes from it, so I'm really wondering what role those have. Also, we haven't seen Telethia anywhere. What are the Telethia going to be doing in this trailer? I really want to know. But yeah, I don't want to make this any longer than it needs to be, so I'm going to stop I'm rambling there. Thank y'all so much for putting up with me up until this point. I do want to try to make one Xenoblade 2 video before 3 comes out. I've just had some stuff happen that makes scripting kind of hard, as I don't really have the ability to focus as much while scripting, and of course, now that it's summer, I have to have the AC on, so that makes recording a bit difficult, as I have to decide between suffocating and just burning alive in my oven of a room in order to get decent recording in. Thankfully, it was cool enough today, so I don't have to worry about that now, but yeah. Hopefully I'll get that video done, and then I ain't streaming this game, but you will know when I finish it, as I'm gonna go nutso on content for this. Countdowns, reviews, analyst stuff, talking about stuff I like, didn't like. I want to do it all for this game. Hopefully this will give me a little pep back in my step for getting things going with my channel here. So thank you all so much for putting up with my rambling up to this point. Hope you enjoyed my little video, and I hope to see you guys next time. Until then, hope you get your Xenoblade Chronicles 3 special editions if you didn't already, and if you did, you lucky bastards. Peace!